Section 69 of the Book of Household Management. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Tracy Datlin. The Book of Household Management by Isabella Beaton. Recipes, Chapter 29, Part 3. To make gooseberry fool. 1433. Ingredients: green gooseberries. To every pint of pulp add 1 pint of milk, or half pint of cream and half pint of milk. Sugar to taste. Mode: cut the tops and tails off the gooseberries. Put them into a jar with 2 tablespoonfuls of water and a little good moist sugar. Set this jar in a saucepan of boiling water, and let it boil until the fruit is soft enough to mash. When done enough, beat it to a pulp. Work this pulp through a colander, and stir to every pint the above proportion of milk, or equal quantities of milk and cream. Ascertain if the mixture is sweet enough, and put in plenty of sugar, or it will not be eatable. And in mixing the milk and gooseberries, add the former very gradually to these. Serve in a glass dish or in small glasses. This, although a very old-fashioned and homely dish, is, when well made, very delicious, and, if properly sweetened, a very suitable preparation for children. Time: from 3/4 to 1 hour. Average cost: 6d. per pint with milk. Sufficient: a pint of milk and a pint of gooseberry pulp for 5 or 6 children. Seasonable in May and June. Gooseberry Trifle. 1434. Ingredients: 1 quart of gooseberries, sugar to taste, 1 pint of custard, No. 1423, a plateful of whipped cream. Mode: put the gooseberries into a jar with sufficient moist sugar to sweeten them, and boil them until reduced to a pulp. Put this pulp at the bottom of a trifle dish. Pour it over a pint of custard made by recipe No. 1423, and, when cold, cover with whipped cream. The cream should be whipped the day before it is wanted for table, as it will then be so much firmer and more solid. The dish may be garnished as fancy dictates. Time: about 3/4 hour to boil the gooseberries. Average cost: 1s. 6d. Sufficient for 1 trifle. Seasonable in May and June. Indian Fritters. 1435. Ingredients: 3 tablespoonfuls of flour, boiling water, the yolks of 4 eggs, the whites of 2, hot lard or clarified dripping, jam. Mode: put the flour into a basin, and pour over it sufficient boiling water to make it into a stiff paste, taking care to stir and beat it well, to prevent it from getting lumpy. Leave it a little time to cool. Then break into it, without beating them first, the yolks of 4 eggs and the whites of 2, and stir and beat all well together. Have ready some boiling lard or butter. Drop a dessertspoonful of batter in at a time, and fry the fritters of a light brown. They should rise so much as to be almost like balls. Serve on a dish with a spoonful of preserve or marmalade dropped in between each fritter. This is an excellent dish for a hasty addition to dinner, if a guest unexpectedly arrive, it being so easily and quickly made, and it is always a great favorite. Time: from 5 to 8 minutes to fry the fritters. Average cost, exclusive of the jam, 5d. Sufficient for 4 or 5 persons. Seasonable at any time. Indian Trifle. 1436. Ingredients: 1 quart of milk, the rind of half large lemon, sugar to taste, 5 heaped tablespoonfuls of rice flour, 1 ounce of sweet almonds, 1/2 pint of custard. Mode: boil the milk and lemon rind together until the former is well flavored. Take out the lemon rind and stir in the rice flour, which should first be moistened with cold milk, and add sufficient loaf sugar to sweeten it nicely. Boil gently for about 5 minutes, and keep the mixture stirred. Take it off the fire, let it cool a little, and pour it into a glass dish. When cold, cut the rice out in the form of a star, or any other shape that may be preferred. Take out the spare rice and fill the space with boiled custard. Blanch and cut the almonds into strips. Stick them over the trifle and garnish it with pieces of brightly colored jelly, or preserved fruits, or candied citron. Time, quarter hour to simmer the milk, 5 minutes after the rice is added. Average cost, 1 shilling. Sufficient for 1 trifle. Seasonable at any time. Illustration: the citron. The citron. The citron belongs to the same species as the lemon, being considered only as a variety, the distinction between them not being very great. It is larger and it is less succulent, but more acid, with a little artificial heat. The citron comes to as great perfection in England as in Spain and Italy. The fruit is oblong and about 5 or 6 inches in length. The tree is thorny. The juice forms an excellent lemonade with sugar and water. Its uses in punch, negus, and medicine are well known. The rind is very thick, and, when candied with sugar, forms an excellent sweetmeat. There are several varieties cultivated in England, one of which is termed the forbidden fruit. Italian cream, 1437. Ingredients: 1 pint of milk, 4 pint of cream, sugar to taste, 1 ounce of isinglass, 1 lemon, the yolks of 4 eggs. Mode: put the cream and milk into a saucepan, with sugar to sweeten, and the lemon rind. Boil until the milk is well flavored, then strain it into a basin and add the beaten yolks of eggs. Put this mixture into a jug. Place the jug in a saucepan of boiling water over the fire, and stir the contents until they thicken, but do not allow them to boil. Take the cream off the fire, stir in the lemon juice and isinglass, which should be melted, and whip well. Fill a mold, place it in ice if at hand, and, when set, turn it out on a dish, and garnish as taste may dictate. The mixture may be whipped and drained, and then put into small glasses, when this mode of serving is preferred. Time, from 5 to 8 minutes to stir the mixture in the jug. Average cost, with the best isinglass, 2 shillings 6 pence. Sufficient to fill 1½ pint mold. Seasonable at any time. The Hidden Mountain, a pretty supper dish. 1438. Ingredients: 6 eggs, a few slices of citron, sugar to taste, 1/4 pint of cream, a layer of any kind of jam. Mode: beat the whites and yolks of the eggs separately, then mix them and beat well again, adding a few thin slices of citron, the cream, and sufficient pounded sugar to sweeten it nicely. When the sugar is well beaten, put it into a buttered pan, and fry the same as a pancake, but it should be 3 times the thickness of an ordinary pancake. Cover it with jam, and garnish with slices of citron and holly leaves. This dish is served cold. Time, about 10 minutes to fry the mixture. Average cost, with the jam, 1 shilling 4 pence. Sufficient for 3 or 4 persons. Seasonable at any time. Jaune mange, 1439. Ingredients: 1 ounce of isinglass, 1 pint of water, ½ pint of white wine, the rind and juice of 1 large lemon, sugar to taste, the yolks of 6 eggs. Mode: put the isinglass, water, and lemon rind into a saucepan, and boil gently until the former is dissolved. Then add the strained lemon juice, the wine, and sufficient white sugar to sweeten the whole nicely. Boil for 2 or 3 minutes, strain the mixture into a jug, and add the yolks of the eggs, which should be well beaten. Place the jug in a saucepan of boiling water. Keep stirring the mixture one way until it thickens, but do not allow it to boil. Then take it off the fire and keep stirring until nearly cold. Pour it into a mold, omitting the sediment at the bottom of the jug, and let it remain until quite firm. Time, quarter hour to boil the isinglass and water. About 10 minutes to stir the mixture in the jug. Average cost with the best isinglass, 2s. 9d. Sufficient to fill a quart mold. Seasonable at any time. Jelly molded with fresh fruit, or Macédoine de fruits. 1440. Ingredients: rather more than 1½ pint of jelly, a few nice strawberries, or red or white currants, or raspberries, or any fresh fruit that may be in season. Mode: have ready the above proportion of jelly, which must be very clear and rather sweet, the raw fruit requiring an additional quantity of sugar. Select ripe, nice-looking fruit. Pick off the stalks, unless currants are used, when they are laid in the jelly as they come from the tree. Begin by putting a little jelly at the bottom of the mold, which must harden. Then arrange the fruit around the sides of the mold, recollecting that it will be reversed when turned out. Then pour in some more jelly to make the fruit adhere, and when that layer is set, put another row of fruit and jelly until the mold is full. If convenient, put it in ice until required for table, then wring a cloth in boiling water, wrap it around the mold for a minute, and turn the jelly carefully out. Peaches, apricots, plums, apples, etc. are better for being boiled in a little clear syrup before they are laid in the jelly. Strawberries, raspberries, grapes, cherries, and currants are put in raw. In winter, when fresh fruits are not attainable, a very pretty jelly may be made with preserved fruits or brandy cherries. These, in a bright and clear jelly, have a very pretty effect. Of course, unless the jelly be very clear, the beauty of the dish will be spoiled. It may be garnished with the same fruit as laid in the jelly. For instance, an open jelly with strawberries might have, piled in the center, a few of the same fruit prettily arranged, or a little whipped cream might be substituted for the fruit. Illustration: jelly molded with cherries. Time: 1 layer of jelly should remain 2 hours in a very cool place before another layer is added. Average cost 2s. 6d. Sufficient with fruit to fill a quart mold. Seasonable with fresh fruit from June to October, with dried at any time. Jelly of 2 colors. 1441. Ingredients: 1½ pint of calf's feet jelly, number 416, a few drops of prepared cochineal. Illustration: jelly of 2 colors. Mode: make 1½ pint of jelly by recipe number 1416, or, if wished, more economical, of clarified syrup and gelatin, flavoring it in any way that may be preferred. Color 1/2 of the jelly with a few drops of prepared cochineal, and the other half leave as pale as possible. Have ready a mold well wetted in every part. Pour in a small quantity of the red jelly, and let this set. When quite firm, pour on it the same quantity of pale jelly, and let this set. Then proceed in this manner until the mold is full, always taking care to let one jelly set before the other is poured in, or the colors would run one into the other. When turned out, the jelly should have a striped appearance. For variety, half the mold may be filled at once with one of the jellies, and, when firm, filled up with the other. This also has a very pretty effect, and is more expeditiously prepared when the jelly is poured in small quantities into the mold. Blancmange and red jelly, or blancmange and raspberry cream, molded in the above manner, look very well. The layers of blancmange and jelly should be about 1 inch in depth, and each layer should be perfectly hardened before another is added. Half a mold of blancmange and half a mold of jelly are frequently served in the same manner. A few pretty dishes may be made in this way, of jellies or blancmange left from the preceding day, by melting them separately in a jug placed in a saucepan of boiling water, and then molding them by the foregoing directions. See colored plate S1. Time: 3/4 hour to make the jelly. Average cost with calf's feet jelly 2s. With gelatin and syrup, more economical. Sufficient to fill 1½ pint mold. Seasonable at any time. Note: in making the jelly, use for flavoring a very pale sherry, or the color will be too dark to contrast nicely with the red jelly. Lemon Blancmange. 1442. Ingredients: 1 quart of milk, the yolks of 4 eggs, 3 ounces of ground rice, 6 ounces of pounded sugar, 1½ ounce of fresh butter, the rind of 1 lemon, the juice of 2, 1/2 ounce of gelatin. Illustration: blancmange mold. Mode: make a custard with the yolks of the eggs and 1/2 pint of the milk, and when done put it into a basin. Put half the remainder of the milk into a saucepan with the ground rice, fresh butter, lemon rind, and 3 ounces of the sugar, and let these ingredients boil until the mixture is stiff, stirring them constantly. When done, pour it into the bowl where the custard is, mixing both well together. Put the gelatin with the rest of the milk into a saucepan and let it stand by the side of the fire to dissolve. Boil for a minute or two. Stir carefully into the basin, adding 3 ounces more of pounded sugar. When cold, stir in the lemon juice, which should be carefully strained, and pour the mixture into a well-oiled mold, leaving out the lemon peel, and set the mold in a pan of cold water until wanted for table. Use eggs that have rich-looking yolks, and, should the weather be very warm, rather a larger proportion of gelatin must be allowed. Time altogether 1 hour. Average cost 1 shilling 6d. Sufficient to fill 2 small molds. Seasonable at any time. Lemon cream. 1443. Ingredients: 1 pint of cream, the yolks of 2 eggs, 1/4 pound of white sugar, 1 large lemon, 1 ounce of isinglass. Illustration: lemon cream mold. Mode: put the cream into a lined saucepan with the sugar, lemon peel, and isinglass, and simmer these over a gentle fire for about 10 minutes, stirring them all the time. Strain the cream into a jug, add the yolks of eggs, which should be well beaten, and put the jug into a saucepan of boiling water. Stir the mixture one way until it thickens, but do not allow it to boil. Take off the fire and keep stirring it until nearly cold. Strain the lemon juice into a basin. Gradually pour on it the cream and stir well until the juice is well mixed with it. Have ready a well-oiled mold, pour the cream into it, and let it remain until perfectly set. When required for table, loosen the edges with a small blunt knife, and put a dish on top of the mold. Turn it over quickly, and the cream should easily slip away. Time: 10 minutes to boil the cream, about 10 minutes to stir it over the fire in a jug. Average cost, with cream at 1 shilling per pint, and the best isinglass, 2 shillings 6d. Sufficient to fill 1½ pint mold. Seasonable at any time. Economical lemon cream. 1444. Ingredients: 1 quart of milk, 8 bitter almonds, 2 ounces of gelatin, 2 large lemons, 3/4 pound of lump sugar, the yolks of 6 eggs. Mode: put the milk into a lined saucepan with the almonds, which should be well pounded in a mortar, the gelatin, lemon rind, and lump sugar, and boil these ingredients for about 5 minutes. Beat up the yolks of the eggs, strain the milk into a jug, add the eggs, and pour the mixture backwards and forwards a few times until nearly cold. Then stir briskly to it the lemon juice, which should be strained, and keep stirring until the cream is almost cold. Put it into an oiled mold and let it remain until perfectly set. The lemon juice must not be added to the cream when it is warm, and should be well stirred after it is put in. Time: 5 minutes to boil the milk. Average cost 2 shillings 5d. Sufficient to fill 2 1½ pint molds. Seasonable at any time. Lemon creams. Very good. 1445. Ingredients: 1 pint of cream, 2 dozen sweet almonds, 3 glasses of sherry, the rind and juice of 2 lemons, sugar to taste. Mode: blanch and chop the almonds and put them into a jug with the cream. In another jug put the sherry, lemon rind, strained juice, and sufficient pounded sugar to sweeten the whole nicely. Pour rapidly from one jug to the other till the mixture is well frothed. Then pour it into jelly glasses, omitting the lemon rind. This is a very cool and delicious sweet for summer, and may be made less rich by omitting the almonds and substituting orange or raisin wine for the sherry. Time altogether, ½ hour. Average cost with cream at 1 shilling per pint, 3 shillings. Sufficient to fill 12 glasses, seasonable at any time. Lemon creams of custards, 1446. Ingredients: 5 ounces of loaf sugar, 2 pints of boiling water, the rind of 1 lemon and the juice of 3, the yolks of 8 eggs. Mode: make a quart of lemonade in the following manner. Dissolve the sugar in the boiling water, having previously, with part of the sugar, rubbed off the lemon rind, and add the strained juice. Strain the lemonade into a saucepan and add the yolks of the eggs, which should be well beaten. Stir this one way over the fire until the mixture thickens, but do not allow it to boil, and serve in custard glasses or on a glass dish. After the boiling water is poured on the sugar and lemon, it should stand covered for about ½ hour before the eggs are added to it, that the flavor of the rind may be extracted. Time: ½ hour to make the lemonade, about 10 minutes to stir the custard over the fire. Average cost 1 shilling. Sufficient to fill 12 to 14 custard glasses. Seasonable at any time. Lemon jelly, 1447. Ingredients: 6 lemons, 3/4 pound of lump sugar, 1 pint of water, 1½ ounce of isinglass, 1/4 pint of sherry. Mode: peel 3 of the lemons, pour 1/2 pint of boiling water on the rind, and let it infuse for ½ hour. Put the sugar, isinglass, and ½ pint of water into a lined saucepan, and boil these ingredients for 20 minutes. Then put in the strained lemon juice, the strained infusion of the rind, and bring the whole to the point of boiling. Skim well, add the wine, and run the jelly through a bag. Pour it into a mold that has been wetted or soaked in water. Put it in ice if convenient, where let it remain until required for table. Previous to adding the lemon juice to the other ingredients, ascertain that it is very nicely strained, as, if this is not properly attended to, it is liable to make the jelly thick and muddy. As this jelly is very pale and almost colorless, it answers very well for molding with a jelly of any bright hue. For instance, half a jelly bright red and the other half made of the above would have a very good effect. Lemon jelly may also be made with calf's feet stock, allowing the juice of 3 lemons to every pint of stock. Time altogether 1 hour. Average cost with the best isinglass 2 shillings 9 pence. Sufficient to fill 1½ pint mold. Seasonable at any time. Lemon sponge, 1448. Ingredients: 2 ounces of isinglass, 1 3/4 pint of water, 3/4 pound of pounded sugar, the juice of 5 lemons, the rind of 1, the whites of 3 eggs. Mode: dissolve the isinglass in the water, strain it into a saucepan, and add the sugar, lemon rind, and juice. Boil the whole from 10 to 15 minutes. Strain it again, and let it stand till it is cold and begins to stiffen. Beat the whites of the eggs, put them to it, and whisk the mixture till it is quite white. Put it into a mold which has been previously wetted, and let it remain until perfectly set. Then turn it out, and garnish it according to taste. Time 10 to 15 minutes. Average cost with the best isinglass 3 shillings 6 pence. Sufficient to fill a quart mold. Seasonable at any time. Liqueur jelly, 1449. Ingredients: 1 pound of lump sugar, 2 ounces of isinglass, 1 1/2 pint of water, the juice of 2 lemons, 1/4 pint of liqueur. Illustration: oval jelly mold. Mode: put the sugar with 1 pint of water into a stew pan, and boil them gently by the side of the fire until there is no scum remaining, which must be carefully removed as fast as it rises. Boil the isinglass with the other 1/2 pint of water, and skim it carefully in the same manner. Strain the lemon juice and add it with the clarified isinglass to the syrup. Put in the liqueur and bring the whole to the boiling point. Let the saucepan remain covered by the side of the fire for a few minutes. Then pour the jelly through a bag, put it into a mold, and set the mold in ice until required for table. Dip the mold in hot water, wipe the outside. Loosen the jelly by passing a knife round the edges, and turn it out carefully on a dish. Noyau, maraschino, curacao, brandy, or any kind of liqueur answers for this jelly, and when made with isinglass, liqueur jellies are usually prepared as directed above. Time: 10 minutes to boil the sugar and water. Average cost with the best isinglass, 3 shillings 6 pence. Sufficient to fill a quart mold. Seasonable at any time. A sweet dish of macaroni. 1450. Ingredients: 1/4 pound of macaroni, 1 1/2 pint of milk, the rind of 1/2 lemon, 3 ounces of lump sugar, 3/4 pint of custard, number 1423. Mode: put the milk into a saucepan with the lemon peel and sugar. Bring it to the boiling point, drop in the macaroni, and let it gradually swell over a gentle fire, but do not allow the pipes to break. The form should be entirely preserved, and, though tender, should be firm and not soft, with no part beginning to melt. Should the milk dry away before the macaroni is sufficiently swelled, add a little more. Make a custard by recipe number 1423. Place the macaroni on a dish and pour the custard over the hot macaroni. Grate over it a little nutmeg, and, when cold, garnish the dish with slices of candied citron. Time: from 40 to 50 minutes to swell the macaroni. Average cost with custard, 1 shilling. Sufficient for 4 to 5 persons. Seasonable at any time. Meringues. 1451. Ingredients: 1/2 pound of pounded sugar, the whites of 4 eggs. Illustration: meringues. Mode: whisk the whites of the eggs to a stiff froth, and with a wooden spoon stir in quickly the pounded sugar, and have some boards thick enough to put in the oven to prevent the bottom of the meringues from acquiring too much color. Cut some strips of paper about 2 inches wide. Place this paper on the board, and drop a tablespoonful at a time of the mixture on the paper, taking care to let all the meringues be the same size. In dropping it from the spoon, give the mixture the form of an egg, and keep the meringues about 2 inches apart from each other on the paper. Strew over them some sifted sugar, and bake in a moderate oven for ½ hour. As soon as they begin to color, remove them from the oven. Take each slip of paper by the 2 ends, and turn it gently on the table, and with a small spoon take out the soft part of each meringue. Spread some clean paper on the board, turn the meringues upside down, and put them into the oven to harden and brown on the other side. When required for table, fill them with whipped cream, flavored with liqueur or vanilla, and sweetened with pounded sugar. Join 2 of the meringues together and pile them high in a dish, as shown in the annexed drawing. To vary their appearance, finely chopped almonds or currants may be strewn over them before the sugar is sprinkled over, and they may be garnished with any bright-colored preserve. Great expedition is necessary in making this sweet dish, as, if the meringues are not put into the oven as soon as the sugar and eggs are mixed, The former melts and the mixture would run on the paper instead of keeping its egg shape. The sweeter the meringues are made, the crisper they will be. But if there is not sufficient sugar mixed with them, they will most likely be tough. They are sometimes colored with cochineal, and if kept well covered in a dry place, will remain good for a month or 6 weeks. Time altogether, about ½ hour. Average cost, with the cream and flavoring, 1 shilling. Sufficient to make 2 dozen meringues. Seasonable at any time. Noyeau cream. 1452. Ingredients: 1 1/2 ounce of isinglass, the juice of 2 lemons, noyeau, and pounded sugar to taste, 1 1/2 pint of cream. Mode: dissolve the isinglass in a little boiling water, add the lemon juice, and strain this to the cream, putting in sufficient noyeau and sugar to flavor and sweeten the mixture nicely. Whisk the cream well, put it into an oiled mold, and set the mold in ice or in a cool place. Turn it out, and garnish the dish to taste. Time altogether, ½ hour. Average cost with cream at 1 shilling per pint, and the best isinglass, 4 shillings. Sufficient to fill a quart mold. Seasonable at any time. Open jelly with whipped cream, a very pretty dish. 1453. Ingredients: 1 1/2 pint of jelly, 1/2 pint of cream, 1 glass of sherry, sugar to taste. Illustration: open jelly with whipped cream. Mode: make the above proportion of calf's feet or isinglass jelly, coloring and flavoring it in any way that may be preferred. Soak a mold open in the center for about ½ hour in cold water. Fill it with the jelly and let it remain in a cool place until perfectly set. Then turn it out on a dish, fill the center with whipped cream, flavored with sherry and sweetened with pounded sugar. Pile this cream high in the center and serve. The jelly should be made of rather dark color to contrast nicely with the cream. Time, 3/4 hour. Average cost, 3 shillings 6 pence. Sufficient to fill 1 1/2 pint mold. Seasonable at any time. Orange jelly. 1454. Ingredients: 1 pint of water, 1 1/2 to 2 ounces of isinglass, 1/2 pound of loaf sugar, 1 Seville orange, 1 lemon, about 9 China oranges. Illustration: open mold. Mode: put the water into a saucepan with the isinglass, sugar, and the rind of 1 orange, and the same of ½ lemon, and stir these over the fire until the isinglass is dissolved, and remove the scum. Then add to this the juice of the Seville orange, the juice of the lemon, and sufficient juice of China oranges to make it in all 1 pint. From 8 to 10 oranges will yield the desired quantity. Stir all together over the fire until it is just on the point of boiling. Skim well, then strain the jelly through a very fine sieve or jelly bag, and when nearly cold, put it into a mold previously wetted, and when quite set, turn it out on a dish and garnish it to taste. To ensure this jelly being clear, the orange and lemon juice should be well strained and the isinglass clarified before they are added to the other ingredients, and to heighten the color, a few drops of prepared cochineal may be added. Time, 5 minutes to boil without the juice, 1 minute after it is added. Average cost, with the best isinglass, 3 shillings 6 pence. Sufficient to fill a quart mold. Seasonable from November to May. Orange jelly molded with slices of orange. 1455. Ingredients: 1 1/2 pint of orange jelly, number 1454, 4 oranges, 1 pint of clarified syrup. Mode: boil ½ pound of loaf sugar with ½ pint of water until there is no scum left, which must be carefully removed as fast as it rises, and carefully peel the oranges. Divide them into thin slices without breaking the thin skin, and put these pieces of orange into the syrup, where let them remain for about 5 minutes. Then take them out and use the syrup for jelly, which should be made by recipe number 1454. When the oranges are well drained and the jelly is nearly cold, pour a little of the latter into the bottom of the mold. Then lay in a few pieces of orange, over these pour a little jelly, and when this is set, place another layer of oranges, proceeding in this manner until the mold is full. Put it in ice or in a cool place, and before turning it out, wrap a cloth round the mold for a minute or two, which has been wrung out in boiling water. Time 5 minutes to simmer the oranges. Average cost 3s. 6d. Sufficient with slices of orange to fill a quart mold. Seasonable from November to May. End of section 69.